Welcome to Dangerous Grounds Network at dangerousgrounds.network. The #1 online radio network. Crazy, funny, and badass. The world's best music. Hosts that will blow your mind. No Holds Barred Radio. Sponsored by Madison Rising. Dangerous Grounds Network. Let's get dangerous.
This is Sam from Madison Rising, and you're listening to Dangerous Grounds Network.
This is Rio of Madison Rising, and you're listening to Dangerous Grounds Network. Hey, you want a freedom boner or what? Listen now.
What's up? This is AJ from Madison Rising, and you're listening to Dangerous Grounds Network. And if you don't have a freedom boner right now, fuck you.
Welcome to the Dangerous Grounds Network, the #1 radio network in the world. Check us out at www.dangerousgrounds.network. Come join us and let's get dangerous. And if you don't have a freedom boner right now, take a hike.
You're out here acting so tough, and now I'm calling you bluff. Black hoods in the faces. We'll take it out to the streets. That's where we can meet. You bring your sticks, I'll bring gauges. Just don't know what you've been asking for. This means war. Lock 'em up, knock 'em down. This means war. Beware of the storm. This means war. I see you stomping my flag. Next time I'm stomping your ass. Game is over, we won't take it no more. You get away with too much. It's time and we've had enough. Busting jaws and
time to strap our boots on. This is a perfect day to die. Wipe the blood out of our eyes. In this life there's no surrender, and there's nothing left for us to do. Find the strength to see this through. We are the ones who will never be broken. With our final breath, we'll fight to the death. We are soldiers, we are soldiers.
What's up, everybody?
All right, welcome to the Dangerous Grounds Network. This is Fight for Your Freedom with your host, Greg Birch. What up?
Good evening, everyone. This is Fight for Our Freedom Radio. Tonight we're going to talk about American unity and why it matters. Quite often I've seen a whole lot of ununity, as I would call it. What do you think on that subject, Big Country?
Well, you know, not to put not really to pat myself on the back or anything, but apparently everybody's seen the picture of me and the little young black boy Dre hugging in Walmart. That's American unity right there. Two different races come together, hugging each other, showing love and respect. That's American unity.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the thing is that we need to realize as Americans is everything we have was provided by someone else for us. Folks like you, for example, basically signed a blank check for everything that we have. And people need to realize that more often and be a little more thankful for what they have. And do a lot more for their fellow, neighbor and friends, for that matter. There's a lot of people out there that, we walk by day in and day out, and we never say a single thing to. And I've also noticed in the last day since Las Vegas, which I'm not getting on that subject tonight because it's crazy, but I'm just saying since, there has been a lot of nicer gestures just in person. I have seen them. I have seen more people holding doors open for other people lately, where usually it's kind of, wouldn't say slammed in your face, but just not really paid attention to. I think we need to do that more often as a country, because a country divided will inevitably fall sooner or later. And nobody wants America to fall. We're supposed to be the greatest nation in the world, and we are for a reason. But there are other nations that are just as great at this point, and we never really... I think I've said it before, and you've probably heard me say it, Big Country, that we didn't really have to make America great again as much as we had to find our way again. It was always great.
Yeah,
you know what I
agree.
mean?
I agree.
And a lot of people riffed me on that one, but it's not that I'm not saying that the slogan wasn't right. I'm saying that America was always great. It never stopped being great. We just had to find our way again. And I think we're doing that because of the bad things that are happening. We're starting to open our eyes and realize that maybe unity is better. Maybe division between races or creeds or religions doesn't really matter as a rule. You can't say that someone's bad without knowing that they're a bad person. And, everybody's different, unfortunately. There's no real detector to find out who's the bad guy and who's the good guy,
That's right.
So,
you just never know. And there's a lot of people out there that will sugarcoat things, make things look great. And then a week or two later, you find out who they really are. Unfortunately, that's been kind of my life story the last couple of years. I've met some great people like yourself, everybody at DGN, everybody at BWI, and many other places. Madison Rising, Chelsea, Rashad Houston, Tom Endorf, Keith. I've met a lot of great people. But I've met some shady motherfuckers too.
Yes. And so have I. When I first started with the nonprofit, I got a lot of what I would call, I guess, attacks on unity or integrity would be the best words. There was a few people that literally offered me money for the logo, offered me money to buy me out and stop me, and I felt that was, in some ways, the devil's work. Which I guess is just how I look at it. But it's just been an amazing trip, and I had never planned on meeting you, didn't even know you were around the corner, but we did. And to be honest, it's been amazing ever since. And that's one of the reasons why I always promote what you do, because you deserve that through all you've done for me. And you keep doing more for me after you served. And that's just amazing, man. It always will be to me, brother.
Because I love you. Plain and simple.
Well,
love and respect.
And I appreciate that. And that's what I've tried to teach people too, when you spend time with someone who served and you've never served, and when they call you brother, like you do me, and thousands of others do, you and I both know this, it's a very humbling feeling as a civilian to be called brother, and these people literally mean it. Everyone who serves that says this to me, it will bring tears to your eyes. You will never understand until someone does that. It is just the most amazing thing, because I never, ever expected that. I had heard it between veterans, but I had never heard it between a veteran and civilian until me. And I live every day for all of you, and there isn't a single one of you that I wouldn't die for if I had to. And that's just how I feel about it. And I understand that y'all serve, so I don't have to go through that. but I truly feel that maybe someday that number may come up, and that's okay. You know, there's a way to unify with those that you love, and I feel that cost, you know, is always a given. It may be there. You never know, you know.
And you're right, brother. You never know, because one of the reasons why I named the network Dangerous Grounds is this reason right here. Freedom fighters like yourself, first responders, vets, and active duty. What do we walk on every day?
Yes, absolutely. And that's something I've been trying to promote the last few weeks, and I'm sure you've heard it since you gave me the show to run, is unity. That differences don't matter. Last week I promoted about 2 African Americans who were fantastic. I've been promoting about Harlem Hellfighters, on the Fight for Our Freedom side, you know, because we talk about race so often. It's really stupid and trivial to me, because, you know, I work beside one of the most amazing African American young men who's been the most respectful person, one of the most respectful persons I've ever met in my life. And his name is Larry, and every day we talk about everything that I'm trying to think of, and I usually bounce it off of him because I don't mean to offend anybody, but sometimes my way is could be taken either direction, you know. So I'll usually say, you know, hey, what do you think of this? And one of the things that he said to me one day was, I love your passion. Never ever stop what you're doing, because if you believe in something like you do, then it's the right thing for you. And, you know, that's a lot coming from somebody that doesn't know you, that you've only worked with for, you know, 5 or 6 months probably now, maybe longer. And, you know, if that, and that's what this country's about, you know, and that's one of the reasons why I promote people like him, because they do the right thing also for others like that, you know, by stepping out and saying, hey, man, this is pretty cool, you know, and that's how America became so great, you know. If you watch Sons of Liberty, like I've talked about before, you know, Sam Adams was having a hell of a time winning the war for the United States against the British, and George Washington was the one that walked up and said, hey, man, let me help you. Where the hell would we be without George Washington? We'd be nowhere, you know, and that's American unity. So it's just amazing. So, what do you think on that one, Big Country?
Well, you know, we got the freedom of speech, freedom of religion, right to bear arms. We have our freedoms in this country that the people come over here because they like, but that doesn't mean you abide by our rules. You enjoy your freedoms, abide by our rules, which means don't hurt people, don't destroy buildings, don't destroy personal property, obey by the law, and you're fine. When you want to go out here and you want to shoot up people, 50 dead, 400 injured, this is not the first time it's happened within the last, you know, couple of months. That's where you're taking it too far. You have the right to protest and say what you want to. You $1 million fucking NFL players that want to sit there and sit down on a knee because you don't like the president. You know you're spitting in the face of our brothers and sisters that are 6 feet under.
Yes.
That right there ticks me off more than anything. And later tonight, you will see a video of Big Country burning Cam Newton's jersey. Piece of shit.
Well, and that's the thing, you know, you're not affecting our president, you're affecting our veterans. There's a difference, right. You know. I hate to say it like this, but our president was not the one who fought for that flag. Our veterans did. Our freedom fighters did, you know, and when I say freedom fighters, I mean mainly the ones who served, not people like me. You know, I mean, I'm a vocal person at this point, but, you know, damn, you know, people lived and died like you did for that flag, and that's just bullshit. You know, it doesn't have anything to do with the president. The flag, the only president that flag had anything remotely to do with was Washington in my eyes, because it never changed after that. You know, that was an American battle flag. That's exactly what that was. And, you know, what the hell are they thinking? You know, they have absolutely no idea how disrespectful that is to our veterans and those who serve.
That's right.
And it's pretty sad to think that people don't realize what they've got until it's gone. We keep going this route, and like I've said before, we got guys and gals that serve like you, okay? And we've decided that first we want to take away their retirement, and then we want to take away and make it hard to get into the VA. Somebody was telling me the other day about how they have to go to the VA during business hours. If they have something that happens when it's not business hours, they have to go to the ER and pay it out of pocket.
Mm-hmm.
That's a crock of shit. And I didn't realize this was happening, Brian, because, again, I've never served, so I don't see that side of the fence. And I can't understand why you can't go to any medical facility at any given time, including an emergency, and be taken care of, because without you, you would not even have the medical facilities to go to in the first place. That's how I see it.
Well, that's civilian doctors and stuff. Yes, if I go to a civilian doctor, I have to pay a copay. That's still on the civilian sector. If it does with the VA, you don't have to. There are instances to where you might not be able to make it to your VA hospital. It is what it is. But I guarantee you, it's no offense, but where would y'all have to pay? I walk in, I don't really have to pay anything for a copay. I haven't paid a copay really since I've been to the doctor. You really got to dig down into the rules. If you read your paperwork, follow up with your doctors, and do what you're supposed to, going to the VA is really easy.
Yes. But I think some VAs probably make it more difficult than they need to, and ours is probably one of the better ones. I've heard some horror stories that have just absolutely appalled me, and it's not the only person from that area that said it. You know what I mean? But, there's bad apples in every area, and that's the same thing like with Americans focusing on, that's something I really want to touch on, is police. We talk so much, I hear so much trash about police, but 70% of our police are veterans. So that means you cannot possibly not support the police and support veterans at the same time. It doesn't work like that. It's the same damn team. And I'll always hear, what about that guy that shot so-and-so? What about that guy who shot so-and-so? Okay, you have literally, I think I can count 10 officers, maybe max, that have done something absolutely crazy that was horrendous. Okay. All right, 10 officers. How many serve? How many millions serve? So the percentage ratio is so low. It's probably about the same ratio you have about people doing crazy things like happened with these mass shootings versus the amount of Americans that live. 306 million Americans to how many people that do these crazy shootings and stuff. So it's just people need to realize more what they have and support our police a lot better.
And to really sum it up, there's bad fucking eggs in every job, every aspect of life. You're gonna have jackasses everywhere you go. It doesn't matter if you're a school teacher, police officer, EMS, if you work at the bank, if you're a plumber, you're an electrician, or you're a soldier. You're gonna have bad eggs. But you know what? You pick up, you move on, you drive on, stay on the positive side of things. Don't let people get to you. If they're sitting there trying to get to you, you know what the best thing to do is? Smile. God bless you, sir and ma'am. You have a great day, because I am. So, we're going to go into a little music break real quick. Here comes a little bit of Chelsea, one of our performers at Operation I Got Your 6 in 10 Days and a Wake Up with Madison Rising out here at the Greenville Harley-Davidson. Here we go. Check out this. Celine Dion, Eat Your Heart Out.
Party girls, don't get hurt. Can't feel anything. When will I learn? I push it down, push it down. I'm the one for a good time call. Phones blowing up, ringing my doorbell. I feel the love, feel the love. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 1.
All right, that's a little bit of Chelsea Cameron with Rio from Madison Rising and Heather with Chandelier. Don't miss it. Operation I Got Your Six, October 14th at the Harley-Davidson in Greenville, starting at 6 p.m. We'll pretty much kick it off with a couple of guest speakers, yours truly, and we have a true hero, a firefighter from the New York Fire Department that was at Ground Zero at 9/11. Will be there and blessing us with some words of encouragement. And then Madison Rising and Chelsea's going to melt your face. We're going to give some things away. So don't forget, email us at dgn1980@my.com. The first 100 people do it, get a meet and greet with Madison Rising. Take it away, bub.
Absolutely. Now, I'm not sure if you've noticed, Brian, but every week I do a story about someone who's done something amazing or someone who was amazing.
Like yourself?
Well, last week I did two because I felt that it was needed because of a lot of the, tension that's going on in our nation. Tonight I picked someone that is pretty interesting. I picked tonight Jacqueline H. Lucas, which was someone that served. Jack Lucas was in the 1st Battalion of 26 Marines, which would have been a long time ago, back in World War II era or earlier. Everybody with half a functioning brain knows that diving on a live grenade to save your friends is one of the single most selfless, balls-out, heroic acts of valor that any human being can perform. I'm sure you've probably seen it or experienced it. It takes a special, rare kind of person to come face-to-face with their own destruction, resist every natural impulse of self-preservation, and unhesitatingly give themselves up in a final, pure, selfless feat of bravery, trading in the most precious thing humanity has to offer, and that's their own life, so that others may live. As long as you've served, I'm sure you've seen many acts like this of what I would call heroism, and you probably may when you've seen someone do it. It's not something that anybody should ever see or want to see, but it is truly amazing when someone does it. It's really the ultimate selfless human sacrifice that nowadays is the standard go-to analogy for everything from taking all the blame for a team-wide corporate fuck-up to unselfishly taking up the home list girl at the bar while your buddy tries to hook up with her best friend. It's invariably about 1,000 times harder than anything anybody's ever experienced. It's a heroic testament to the will of human spirit that more medals of honor and Victoria Crosses have been handed out for this single act than any other deed in the history of combat. Unfortunately, despite this being a universally acknowledged feat of righteous heroicness, the fact that the entire action is over in 3 to 5 seconds, combined with some horrifically tragic consequences for the hero to make grenade hopping a pretty tough subject to write a Badass of the Week article about. And of course, unless you're talking about Jack Lewis of the 1st Battalion 26 Marines, because Jack Lucas jumped on not one, but 2 grenades to save his friends and lived to tell about it. Now, I would say that's pretty damn amazing right there, Big Country, because you never live one, let alone 2.
That's right.
Jacqueline Lucas was born on Valentine's Day in 1928 in a rural town in North Carolina, which is damn near down the street from us, with a population so tiny that if everyone in the entire county showed up to the UNC for a basketball games, they probably couldn't tell one section of the Dean Smith Center from the other. Cursed with one of the most terrible first names in history, Jacqueline did the boy named Sue thing and spent his entire life training to be so ungodly hardcore that anyone who referred to him by any other name than Jack would end up forcibly swallowing their own genitalia, eventually enlisting as a cadet in Edwards Military Institute in Salemburg, North Carolina. Things were going fine for a while, but his life changed pretty dramatically on December 7th, 1941, when he got news that a super-secret ninja sneak attack of Japanese fighter bombers had just craterized the American battleship fleet at Pearl Harbor into a towering inferno of twisted metal. He kind of took it personally. Sounds kind of like my grandfather. So while Lucas's 13-year-old idiot classmates were all hanging around their school doing dipshit teenage stuff like slam-dunking M80s into public toilets and supergluing their friends' lockers shut, Lucas got mad. Like super mad. Like King Kong stopping by on the way home after work after a miserable day at the office only to find that the badass frozen yogurt place down the street is totally out of banana sherbet, so he just snorts a line of PCP and goes flailing down on everyone pissed. He stormed out of his military school, which would be considered listed AWOL in his professional career, went across the border to Virginia, bribed some notary public to swear he was 17, then hitched a ride over to the nearest Marine Corps recruiting station. Marched his hefty 5'8", 200-pound frame through the front door like he owned the place, forged his mom's signature on his enlistment paperwork, and shipped out to Parris Island for U.S. Marine Corps boot camps at 13.
Hoorah.
Now think about that. A 13-year-old that's 5'8" and 200 pounds is no small man.
No, my daughter's 13. She's 5'9", but she ain't 200-something pounds. But just saying.
That's a 13-year-old tank. Lucas made it through the most intense basic training the United States military has to offer. Was made a Marine at 14 and was subsequently assigned to work a crappy manual labor job as part of the training battalion in Parris Island. Lucas then responded to his unsatisfactory posting by abandoning his station, hitching a ride to Pearl, grabbing the first United States Marine Corps officer he could find and telling him there was a clerical error, and he was supposed to be stationed on the front lines in a combat arms role. They made him then a truck driver at Marine Corps base in Pearl Harbor. Unsatisfied by the current status of not blowing the shit out of all enemy at all corners when he could find them, and denied in all of his requests to transfer to a frontline unit, he then spent the next couple of years raising hell across Honolulu. He was arrested for starting a drunken bar fight, disciplined for AWOL, so he could head into town and meet girls. He was then busted by military police for walking through the barracks with a case of beer, then was subsequently arrested for punching the same policeman in the military police in the face when that power-tripping jerk tried to take the beer away from him.
God.
Yes, tired of spending his nights in the brig and worried that the war was going to end without him ever hoisting a rifle in battle, Lucas finally decided, fuck it. I'm going to war now, and I don't give a shit who wants to stop me. He went down to the dock, snuck aboard a military transport ship, headed for the front lines, and spent a month living off crumbs, hiding from the crew, because he was worried if they discovered him, they'd dump his ass back to Hawaii for court-martial. Of the 40,000 Marines who hit the beach at Iwo Jima on or around February 20th, 1945, 17-year-old Private Jack Lucas of 1st Battalion, 26th Marines, 5th Marine Division, was one of the only ones who assaulted the beachhead without a weapon. He changed that pretty quickly. He grabbed one off a dead man in the surf, racked the slide, and charged into battle. Rushing through the brutal, endless curtains of strafing, machine gun fire, and artillery fire that raked the beach, Lucas then grabbed his newly acquired weapon and charged ahead. Undaunted by the explosions and bullets zipping all around, he ran ahead, reached the relatively safety of the tree line, and fell within a 4-man fire team that had already started working their way through the dense jungle. They were trying to clear out one of the most tenacious and ferociously hardcore enemies the United States had ever faced. Lucas and his men were making their way through a ravine, fighting every step of the way, when suddenly some bad shit started to go down. It turned out that the Japanese had dug this intricate series of caverns and secret passages that ran through the entire island. So as Lucas and his buddies thought they were going to launch their final assault on the Japanese machine gun nest, they came to the horrible realization that 11 men in the pillbox had gone into a tunnel, crawled underneath them, and popped directly behind them. Which is the stories that my grandfather told me about that, wow, just surprised me as I got older. The Marines turned to fire, and in Jack Lucas' much-awaited 4 moments of his first real battle, his first round went through the helmet of an enemy soldier, killing him on the spot. His second round jammed in the rifle. I guess that's what happened when rifles you pick up in ankle-deep water on blood-soaked sandy beaches are in your hands. It was at this point that Lucas knew that the live grenade that had just landed at his feet, he threw his body on it without hesitation, screaming for the other Marines to take cover. When a second grenade hit within harm's reach, Lucas grabbed it and jammed it under his body as well. The Type 97 fragmentation grenade is a 16-ounce metal ball staffed with 65 grams of TNT and a 5-second time detonation. Now, a common misconception about a hand grenade is that they create some huge, fiery explosion that blows people into the next area code like they were launched out of a flaming death catapult. Then they proceed to ignite everything in the general vicinity up to including Earth's atmosphere. But while the explosive power unleashed by a frag grenade is certainly not the sort of thing you want to wake up every morning, what kills the majority of people isn't the bomb, but the shrapnel. Basically, the explosion is just a catalyst that shatters the metal outside of the grenade and sends tens of thousands of little razor-sharp metal splinters through every spot in your body and through the air in every direction, shredding everything in their wake and killing or maiming anyone within 100 to 500, 150 feet. You wonder why some grenades look like pineapples. It's because when it goes off, each section of the pineapple morphs into a bullet firing off into some random direction. Obviously not pretty, which you would understand, obviously. Jack Lucas just had 2 of those little bastards blow up straight under his torso. Sure, his friend survived thanks to his heroism, but all that metal has to go somewhere, and it went straight into Lucas's body. The rest of the Marine fire team, pumped up Lucas's bravery by the fact that they weren't currently all dead, proceeded to fight like demons and push the Japs back, driving them from the position and capturing that sector. When they came back to take the dog tags off their fallen brother, they noticed that not was he alive, he was still conscious. The true unsung hero of Iwo Jima, the Navy corpsmen, were called in on the spot, hauling the severely screwed up Lucas out there on a stretcher, while simultaneously using their .45 pistols to fight off the Japanese Banzai counterattack. They fought through the war zone, got him to a hospital ship, and it took 21 surgeries to remove 250 pieces of shrapnel from every major organ in his body. 7 months later, he personally walked up to Harry S. Truman and received his Medal of Honor in person. He'd already made a complete recovery. He was now 6 days past his 17th birthday, the youngest Marine to ever receive the award. After the war, he went home and fulfilled his promise to his mother to finish school, attending the first day of 9th grade with his Medal of Honor around his neck. He then finished college, went to the USO speaking tour, was married 3 times, survived his second wife's attempt to hire a hitman to murder him. Jesus. And then, at age 40, decided to get over his fear of heights by enlisting in the 82nd Airborne as a paratrooper. On his first jump, both parachutes failed to open. As his team leader astutely pointed out, Jack was the last one out of the plane and the first one on the ground. He not only lived, he walked away unscathed. 2 weeks later, he was back in on the plane on a second jump. That one went better. 4 years later, he finished his tour as captain in the 82nd Airborne. His adventures in miraculously surviving death now complete, ran a successful business selling beef to people outside of D.C., wrote an appropriately named autobiography named Indestructible. Not every president from Truman to Clinton has been met by him. He had his original Medal of Honor citation laid out in the hall of the USS Iwo Jima and died in 2008 at the age of 80 from cancer of all things. So it just goes to show that you can keep on trucking, no matter what the cost. And unity is everything in our country. Because sometimes you'll find that when you unite, they'll unite for you. That's exactly what Jack Lucas did.
You're absolutely right. We come together as brothers and sisters, Americans. It's not a white thing. It's not a black thing. It's not a Mexican, yellow, green, orange, Martian from freaking Venus. It's a red, white, and blue thing. We bleed red. We put on our blue jeans and our white T-shirts every day. We're the same.
Yes, we do.
We speak English. We work together side by side. We ask for help. We help each other. We love each other. It's the way it's supposed to be. Life's so much simpler. Then, you got certain groups that we don't speak of. And then there's songs made up of this one right here. Madison Rising. This is war.
And now I'm calling your bluff. Black hoods and no faces. We'll take it out to the streets. That's where we can meet. You bring your sticks, I'll bring gauges. Just don't know what you've been asking for. This means war. Line 'em up, knock 'em down. This means war.
right, that's a little bit of War by Madison Rising, and here's a word from our sponsors.
Welcome to the Dangerous Grounds Network. Hey guys and gals, why don't you take your dick beaters off the video games in your phone and listen to the Dangerous Grounds Network? We play whatever you want over here, baby. This is the Dangerous Grounds Network. Let's get dangerous.
You don't have to be lonely.
Veterans are
Lonely.com.
This is Sam from Madison Rising, and you're listening to Dangerous Grounds Network.
Branded Warriors Inc., the original tattoo therapy program in America. Big Country and his band of warriors will take care of all America's heroes, with one drop of ink at a time. Go to bwitattoos.org to fill out your application and send it to bwitattoos@yahoo.com. Then the power of the ink and BWI will heal your mind.
Black Rose Tattoo Shop. Veteran Rand and Branded Warriors preferred tattoo shop. BlackRoseTattoo.com. All your tattoo needs.
This is Rio of Madison Rising, and you're listening to Dangerous Grounds Network. Hey, you want a freedom boner or what? Listen now.
What's up? This is AJ from Madison Rising, and you're listening to Dangerous Grounds Network. And we're going to put a little bit of freedom all up in you.
All right, before we get on with the rest of Greg's thing here, I want y'all to listen to this voice and tell me what you think. Oh, well, this loading. Hold on. Fucking Apple shit. What the hell?
Apple's a Decepticon.
I'm telling you. What the hell?
Yeah. Come back to this side, Optimus Prime.
No, I'm like, this is like really, that really just rubbed me the wrong way.
Dun, dun, dun.
This one. Here we go.
I ain't never been the Barbie doll type. No, I don't see that sweet champagne. I'd rather drink beer all night in a tavern or any honky tonk or in a four-wheel drive tailgate. I got posters on my wall of Skinner, Kid, and Straight. Some people look down on me. I don't give a rip. I'll stand barefooted in my own front yard with a baby on my hip. 'Cause I'm a redneck woman. I ain't no high-class broad. Just a product of my race. And I say, hey, y'all, and yee-haw. I keep my Christmas lights on my front porch all year long.
What y'all think? Like that? Think it sounds pretty decent? What you think about that, Greg?
I think she needs some background music, but other than that, yes.
Guess how old she was?
15, 16.
No. 19.
Okay, I was close. I figured teens. She sounded young in her voice, so I had a feeling that she was.
And not just off the whim. You know, for singers and stuff like that, you know, if you go and drink you a big old glass of iced tea, your voice is not going to be up to where it should be. Eating cold stuff and stuff like that, it shrinks your vocal cords. So, like, before you go into practice, before you go into whatnot, you're supposed to drink warm fluids, preferably water. And a certain way you got to eat and stuff. And she played a couple of tracks for me from whatnot. I'm going to get her some studio time. But continue.
You're good, brother. You're good. So, you know, back again to the subject at hand is American unity and also Allied unity. We have to stop being as arrogant as we are. And I don't mean, when I say arrogant, anyone that's veteran, because obviously they're not arrogant because they chose to serve, which means that they sacrifice themselves above us. So why is it that us, meaning we, the people who have never served, are more arrogant than those who serve? That's kind of bass-backwards, you know? I mean, you never hear a veteran say, man, America don't need any allies. We can do it all by ourselves. America. Come on. You never hear that kind of crap from anyone like Big Country. That would be just the stupidest thing you'd ever hear. I mean, it blows my mind, and I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, Big Country.
Mm-hmm. Sure do.
You know, you fought in the Army. You know what I'm talking about. You know how hard it is to gain ground when you're fighting. You know how hard it is to keep us free. And, you know, we have to understand as Americans that the other countries see our civilian response to them because they are also civilian. So if 306 million Americans, and you have, let's say, I think it's about 28 million those people who have served before, like you, or are currently serving. Okay, so you now have 280 roughly million. Let's just make it easy. All right? Mm-hmm. And if just half of those say, we're America, we don't need our allies, we can beat every country, that's just wrong. Because then the other countries hear that, and they say, you know what, we don't want to help those guys anymore. Okay. So when we get into a large war, let's say there's a serious war like World War II, for example. All right, what happens? Our allies say, you know what, the heck with these guys, they're assholes. That's exactly what they say. And it's the same with those who serve. You know, as citizens, we have to realize that they provided us something, and we owe it to them to do the right thing for them. You know, I've heard so much trash, and it's just ridiculous. And it's slowing down compared to what I heard 2 or 3 years ago because of all the stuff we're going through in our nation. But, you know, we never handed them anything on a silver platter. In fact, they deserve it on a platinum platter. I believe that they deserve the best possible care because they've already made the sacrifice for us and were willing to live or die for us. I believe that that cost outweighs anything we can ever pay them. And I believe that also we have to treat our allies the same. Because, you know, if they fought for us, it doesn't matter what country they're in. It really doesn't.
Teamwork.
I'm sure you've met, as we've talked tonight, you know, some citizens that are allies, I should say, from Australia, for example. I'm sure you've served with veterans from other countries that are allied, and I'm sure that they're just as amazing as our veterans are. Are they not?
Yes, I've served with Germans. I've served with Australians. I've served with Europeans. I've served with the Irish. Them were some bad motherfuckers.
I was just going to say, the first thing that comes to mind is the IRA, and the IRA did not play when it was in full swing.
No.
Yeah, I remember hearing stories about them from my grandfather in World War II, and he said, you know, the only thing that we ever, as Americans, were afraid of facing in the end, he said, I'm Marine Corps, we're not afraid of anything. He said, but Jesus, as Wood put it, the bloody IRA would come get us.
Well, you know, and I'm not going to go into the big, deep thing of history, but yes, Irish love to fight. It's just in our blood. But you know what? When we're done, we get up, shake each other's hands, we give each other's hugs, we go drink a beer, go have a bonfire, eat, go on about our merry way.
Yes. And then there's some of the most brilliant and passionate war fighters you could ever meet. So are the Turks, as a matter of fact. That's the next thing that comes to mind is Turkish are just absolutely intense from what I have heard.
And
obviously, I've never experienced it.
They do not like us.
They what?
The Turks and, okay, we need Germany. We went down the street to go to Ed's. The right side, you were good. The left side, did not go. Turks, Russians, whatnot. They just, I mean, they wanted to stay away. They kind of don't like us a little bit. Not saying all of them, but
I've heard that you know, it's kind of a 50-50 crapshoot with them, and I agree. You know, I've talked to a few Turkish that have been respectful and very nice and understand what I'm trying to do, but then I've talked to some that haven't. But you know, Australians are just absolutely intense and amazing. Very interesting culture. Would love to go down there and drink a beer with them, like you were saying earlier.
Don't drink Foster's; it's actually fake.
Yeah, Foster's, not quite Foster's, is it? Yeah, which I can't even do the accent right. But anyways, crikeys. It's just been an interesting lesson for me because, you know, I've never talked to you about it per se, but I would say that till I was about 33, I was one of those arrogant Americans. And you know, when I sat down and saw Grandpa's story and watched the Pacific and the flags of our fathers, it really shocked me to realize that, dude, he was right. You know, he was telling me the truth, but as a child, it was, you know, 13, 14, you know, just as old as, you know, the young man Jack who signed up for the Marines. You know, Jack Lucas was the same age I was when I learned about it. And it just goes to show that you can always keep your mind open to others' pain and others' experiences. You know, when I was a kid, Grandma used to say that he had night terrors. Now, you and I both know what night terrors are now. It's known as PTSD. But, you know, I used to wake up at night and hear him scream things like "take the hill" or "hold the position," or, you know, and I didn't understand, and I do now. You know, and he gave me a gift. He really did. You know, one of the last things he told me before he perished was, you know, you're going to do great things for this country. Always hold fast. Always do what I would do. Try to hold it with integrity and try to do the right thing with heart. And, you know, none of that ever clicked until this mission began. It's well over 7,000 veterans in law enforcement that I speak to now, Brian, and gaining. There are days that I can't keep up. When I went to vacation, I came back out of vacation from no cell service and had hundreds of messages, and it was nuts. But I loved every single one of my messages. None of them were bad. They were just, you know, they were concerned at how I was, and they wanted to see how I was doing. And that's how all of you are. You know, you do your thing, you do your part, and you still care even after. You know, and that's something I've tried to tell people that, you know, I find veterans that sadly feel like they're not needed anymore. And that's the worst thing, you know. Always recognize that they are needed. You know, no veteran is beyond need. Every veteran, no matter how old they are, as long as they still have an able mind of some sort, they can still train. They can still do amazing things. They know more than I'll ever know. And I always try to put that out there to them. And I think that all of you have a tough time when you come back. And we need to be more supportive, you know?
Well, let me put it kind of in plain Jane on a veteran's point of view. Okay,
You do.
We're gone for years at a time. Miss family, kids, wherever you want to put it. Miss our favorite foods, favorite places to go, our friends, things we like to do, Carowinds, Six Flags, ride go-karts, go mud, and go fishing. Once we get home and we do all that, it's crickets. And you sit there and you're like enjoying the peace and quiet, and then all of a sudden it gets to be too much. Losing your sense of purpose is real. And then you fall into your depression state. And I'll go ahead and put it out there. October 14th. And I didn't name Operation. I didn't plan on Operation I Got Your Six. It just kind of clicked after I finalized it. But October 14th last year was the day that I put my 9mm in my mouth, pulled the trigger, nothing happened. That was my wake-up sign. To find something to do. I mean, I already had BWI up and running. We were doing great things. But I felt lost. I didn't feel like I fit in. Because people do look at you differently. You know, your mom, your dad, your brothers, your sisters, they can say that they don't, but you can see it in their eyes. You've changed. You've seen things that nobody's seen. Yes, you watch it on TV, but until you step out of that back door of that C-130 and you smell that stank-ass air, you don't know shit. You don't know nothing until you hear them bullets singing beside your head or getting blown up to a hole that you can fit 30 of me in. Generators going off in the middle of the day when you're trying to sleep and it's 150 fucking degrees outside. You know, there's all kinds of reasons. There's multiple reasons why we have our issues. That's why we need to find the sense of purpose. You know, thank the Lord for BWI, the Dangerous Grounds Network, and all of you, all my big family out there. Madison Rising, Chelsea, Nick Sterling, Penny from Healing Tools for Warriors, Heroes on the Water, a lot of people that I'm fixing to start working with. Thank you guys for giving me a sense of purpose. Because my sense of purpose is to make everybody happy, smile, and whatnot. Yes, you're going to hear me rant and rave from time to time. But you know what? I still pull the positive out of it. I can give two shits about the negative. Negative don't mean shit. It sits on the ground. The positive rises up, and it shines bright. Just like we should every single damn day. When you wake up, you should look at the sky and say, thank you, Lord, for being on earth another day, taking another breath, being a father, a son, a mother, a daughter, brother, sister. You're something to somebody. Don't ever forget that. And if you need help, reach out. My number's on Facebook. Call me. You need something? Email us, dgn1980@my.com, bwi tattoos@yahoo.com. And there's other people's numbers that's out there too. PM us. If you need help, let us know. Because it's the ones that don't say nothing that we need to look after. But
I can say, yeah,
12
absolutely.
12-minute countdown, bro.
Well, you're good. You're good. It's the same way it goes for me. You can go to fightforourfreedom.com if you need someone to talk to, and you can find the number on the bottom. And for future reference, it's 864-610-4047. You can find me all over Facebook. There's a ton of you listening, I'm sure, right now that know me. And some of you have contacted me. Last week, I tried to help one of my friends from Australia and was successful. And my goal with this mission was always to save one life a year and, speak to one new veteran a day. And I'm at 7 and 3 years coming up for lives, and I'm always past one a day, it seems like. And it's been a blessing. I love all of you. You've done the most amazing thing you could do for me, and that's give me my freedom. And it just goes to show, how the good Lord works, because during this mission, I've met a lot of people that happen to know the other people that I know, and it's kind of funny how things interconnect, Brian. Like I picked up a second job to help out with, bills and pay for some things for the nonprofit, and it wasn't probably a week, maybe a week and a half into the job that I went to renewal of vows for one of my friends who is a veteran, and I was talking about it to our manager, and I said, I really need this day off because of, so-and-so's renewal. And I told him who it was, and he said, really? How do you know him? And I said, well, this is what I do, And he said, well, what do you do for us? Dun-dun-dun! Now, again, he said us, so there's your cue, right? Mm-hmm. So we started talking, come to find out he's 82nd Airborne, by the name of Brooks, fantastic man, works down with me at Lowe's in Greer, South Carolina, awesome guy. And again, he happens to know the other guy that deals with my security. Now, what's the chances of that? And it seems like all of you know each other, and you could be across the country and happen to know each other. And somehow you all end up networking with me or Brian, and I've noticed that we all interconnect. Now, that's a pretty well laid out plan by the good Lord. That's all I can say about that. It's pretty fascinating, isn't it?
Well, you only got 1% of America that joins armed service. And
yes.
It is an actual small world out there because, people that I went to basic training and stuff with, I never thought I would see as much as I did while I was in service. I ran into them all the damn time. It just happens like that. You'll see your battles all the time. I still talk to my battles. Actually, I do my buddy checks. And I want to say thank you to the 200 people that hit it every time. Thank you. Because I watch for y'all. If I don't see somebody like Ryan C., when Ryan C. knows that one of my shows are coming on where it was 3% or more in the show or the compound, if Ryan's not in there, I wonder. Stuff like that I pay attention to. We pay attention to. There's a reason why we do buddy checks. We know who's in there every single day. We pay attention to it. So, yeah.
It's funny you say that because I look out for a guy by the name of Roger Sanchez, and every morning he's a Marine, and he posts about the weather where he's at, how things are going for him, and I look for it. And for a while, I had gotten so many friends that were veterans and police on Facebook that I didn't realize it pushed his posts down. You know how Facebook does that? So I had to get in there and make it first priority. And, man, I thought something was wrong, severely wrong. I messaged him, and he says, no, everything's normal. And I realized what happened. And I look for it every morning. And I know if Roger doesn't post, something's up. And then I follow my day from there. I speak to Thomas Stone, who's one of my best friends, and he's the guy who handles my security. That's his name on Facebook. I'm sure you've seen him. I speak to Esther Snyder because she's awesome. She's a Navy veteran, and it's amazing when women serve. I speak to Kirsty Cooper because she's from Australia, and she's amazing. And she served for 10 years. I mean, it's just insane what all these people do as a network together. And everybody seems to shake hands together.
And it takes everybody to work together. It really does. It was how would this country would have been built if we didn't help each other in the first place? How would have all the buildings got built, the farms got done, and all that other stuff? You know what I'm saying?
It would have happened. It would have never happened, and you and I both know that. You know, that's what made America so great in the beginning. You know,
right.
Made it great originally was the unity. And that's what we need to get back to is core values. That's all we're missing. You know, we're not missing anything besides core values. We got so hurried and so worried about me as civilians, not as veterans, and we need to stop that and realize that there's other things more important than just me.
That's right. It's called family.
Yes,
Countrymen.
and veterans are family also.
That's right. All right, everybody. We're gonna hit our final thoughts, and then we're gonna leave out with a song from our sponsor. What's your final thoughts for tonight, brother?
Always remember that everyone that you see could be going through something that you don't know. Always be supportive. Always ask how someone is, and always remember that if you see a veteran, please don't say thank you for your service. That drives me insane, and I'm not trying to discondone it. But ask them how they are. Ask them how you can help them. Ask them how their life is going. That's a little more important than just being 5 seconds. They spend their entire life for you. Give them at least 5 minutes of your life. That's all I ask.
And
on to you.
That's a good point. And I will back it up with this. And this is no disrespect. If you come up and you want to spend that time with a veteran, the veteran says not right now, there's a damn good reason why. So that thank you for your service does help. Be positive. Stay positive. Know that you're worth something. If there's something you don't like about yourself, change it. If you don't like the 10 pounds that you got on your belly, go on a diet. Go on a run. Do something. You know, if you want to excel in your job, educate yourself. If you want to be a better person, wake up and smile and say, I'm a better person every day. Hug your tattoo artist. Do something general nice for somebody every single day. We love every single last one of you. Operation I Got Your Six, Greenville, South Carolina, October 14th. Come out and just have some true American camaraderie, fun. Doesn't cost you anything. We did it for a reason. Is to give back to the community and show you that we love you. So from BWI, Madison Rising, the Dangerous Grounds Network, God bless, take care, and we're leaving out with Madison Rising.
She leave out the back door. It's dark, I see no more until she sleeps.
is a little bit of Where Are You Now from Madison Rising. Hey, a couple of events is coming up on the Dangerous Grounds Network we want to throw out real quick before we book you on out of here. The Intervention Warriors, Sarah Parker and the Silky Hikes, will be in Boston, Massachusetts. So we'll be hooking up with them on the Dangerous Grounds radio show as soon as I get the time from her. And then Sunday at 7 p.m. on the Dangerous Grounds radio show, we got The Pat with Chris Shaw, an old Comedy Central NBC ABC comic, going on their tour in this great state of Minnesota to raise money for veterans and Wounded Warriors. So, from Greg, the host of Fight for Your Freedom and the Dangerous Ground Network, peace out.